Good morning, everybody. Christine Barconi here in the NBC4i Streaming Center, and I have a really special interview this morning. Lieutenant Governor John Husted is joining us via Zoom. Lieutenant Governor, thank you so much for being here. Oh, I think we lost your picture there for a second, Lieutenant Governor. There you
There
are.
we
All right. Thank you so much for being with us this morning. We are talking about jobs, the economy, training, and just overall post-COVID recovery for our economy, which I know is something you're really passionate about. Yesterday, you talked about the tech cred program and the milestone we hit with that here in the state of Ohio. First of all, just kind of describe it to us, and then we'll get into the nitty gritty of that milestone that we hit.
Yeah, Tech Cred is a program where employers can upskill, as we call it, their employees. We will pay up to $2,000 at the cost of helping them earn an industry credential that's tech-based. Many of these can be earned from a distance learning point of view, but here's how it works. The employer picks the employee, they pick the training provider, and then we approve that. And then once the credential is earned, then we reimburse them up to $2,000 for the cost of that credential. Most of the credentials are under $2,000, so we can cover the whole cost. Bottom line is that the taxpayers benefit because we don't pay for any of this until somebody actually earns the credential, which means that they have more earning power, they have more job security, and the employer has the talent they need to compete with anyone in the world. And Ohio, we're killing it with this because we already have 23,000 people enrolled, which is in the first 19 months, which exceeded our expectations. And this is working very well at helping Ohioans earn those credentials and become better skilled and improve their earning potential.
Some big employers here in Central Ohio just got the list sent over from your office this morning. Express, BMI, Federal Credit Union, Coda, Kroger Company, lots of big companies taking advantage of this. But let's talk about just jobs in general. So yesterday we got the numbers. I got them right here. 14,000 new initial jobless claims this week with 210 continued claims. Let's just set the scene. And how do those numbers compare to January of 2020 and February of 2020 before, we had a huge amount of jobless claims, more than, previous years even combined? How are those numbers looking?
Yeah. Look, we have a fraction of the number we had a year ago at this time. The economy really is recovering very quickly. Most employers are telling us that they can't hire enough people, both in terms of numbers and with the right kinds of skills. On OhioMeansJobs.com alone, there are nearly 200,000 available jobs. More than 100,000 of those pay more than $50,000 a year. And so there are a lot of good jobs out there. And what we're doing with Tech Cred and its partner program, IMAP, which is the individual micro-credential program, we're helping people get the skills that they need to get those high-paying jobs, and it's free of charge to them. And so it's important that we do these kinds of things because the economy is growing, employers are creating jobs faster than they're able to fill them. We got a lot of momentum. The key ingredient, though, is making sure that we have people who are prepared and trained for those jobs, because you can't create a job until you actually have somebody who's willing to take and can fill that job. And that's the focus of what we're doing with our job training programs.
So about a month ago, you announced, right? I think it was right around the time when we did the Vax-A-Million started, that the federal pandemic extra money from the federal government for unemployment would be ending here in the state of Ohio. How has that impacted the job market right now? And have you heard any positive things from employers in the state of Ohio getting jobs filled? I mean, I drive up and down, the streets of Columbus, and I see help wanted signs just about everywhere.
Yeah, I understand the unemployment insurance system, which that's what it is designed only to be for 26 weeks. And it's been going on for essentially 65 weeks for a lot of people uninterrupted. And we decided in Ohio that we're going to eliminate the $300 bonus for people that are on unemployment, which the federal government imposed, which will be going away eventually. We're ending it a little early to try to eliminate the competition many employers are having with government to compete for those employees. But So we know there's a lot of jobs out there. I mentioned that,
Yeah.
but we also want to make sure that people who are struggling to find the right kind of jobs have access to the training. Because understand, if you enroll in training, you can still qualify for your unemployment benefits as long as you're preparing for one of those jobs that we have out there. But we can't have a recovery with a lot of able-bodied, healthy Ohioans sitting on the sidelines. We have to help them get back into the economy, have to get the businesses of our state moving. We have to get them into some of these higher paying jobs so that they can sustain themselves. It's a win-win when we get this right. We're just trying to help people get jobs, help the employers compete. And when you do that, you have a thriving environment for everyone.
Ohio is such a diverse place. I feel like Cleveland, Columbus, Cincinnati, they're very different than, like, say, the Eastern Ohio, the Ohio Valley, even towards Lima and the more rural areas down to our south. Is this recovery equitable from what you've seen so far, bouncing back from the pandemic?
Um, Look, every part of the state has a lot of jobs available. Some Central Ohio is doing better than a lot of other places, but every corner of our state is recovering. But we do want to make it equitable. That's why the job training programs are important. That's why I've been advocating, along with Governor DeWine, for more broadband services, so people who live in rural areas or poor urban areas that don't have access do have access, because more and more you need to have access to high-speed internet to participate in the modern economy, education, or healthcare system. So to make it equitable, we got to make sure that we're providing the job training, targeting those opportunities to people who maybe have not had access to those in the past, giving them access to high-speed internet and other things. And when you do that, it's more equitable. But there is no doubt that there are some segments of the economy that are recovering faster than others. I would tell you manufacturing is one that's recovered very quickly. Now the hospitality industry, which was hurt the most, is struggling the most to get people back into the workforce in that sector. Many restaurants who were closed due to COVID have reopened, but are having a hard time even meeting full hours because they can't find enough people to go to work. But that is slowly recovering. The policies that we're putting in place, the job training we're putting in place, is edging Ohio out of this faster than other parts of the country. Our unemployment rate in Ohio is much lower than the national average, which historically has not been the case in Ohio. So our recovery is coming quickly. But the key to this, I emphasize this again and again and again, is helping people get the right kind of skills, getting them back in the workforce, because that will facilitate more employers wanting to come to our state.
So I actually talked to one of Columbus's major employers here nationwide. They headed back to the building about 50. They're doing 50-50%, making sure their employees feel safe right now. They're offering something that I thought was really unique when I spoke to them, called pandemic leave. And, it's on top of people's PTO, that if they do get sick due to COVID, or if they need to take time off due to getting sick from the vaccine, or they need to take time to get the vaccine. Have you seen that in other places? Because I was a little bit taken aback yesterday whenever we heard from Jonathan, the Vax-A-Million winner, whenever he said he hadn't really taken the time off from his Amazon job because it's not offered to him. What's that been like? And have you guys been advocating for employers to help their employees out, especially in these jobs where if you don't work a shift, you don't get paid?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And that's a great point. Governor DeWine, I know, has emphasized this a number of times on our news conferences about employers needing to be flexible. That's why we're trying to bring the vaccine to the workplace through our local health departments and many of our pharmacy providers. Literally, to employers, we're saying, hey, we'll set up shop in your building and help vaccinate your employees. We're encouraging employers to give employees time off to go get vaccinated, including that flex day, maybe after they get the vaccine, in case they are a little under the weather, have struggle with a reaction to the vaccine. But I will tell you, that's very important. Another point that you raised with the story of Jonathan and him working so many hours is that's another thing I hear from employees who've been working throughout the pandemic, is that they want more people to come back to work so that they don't have to work so much overtime.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, they love the bigger checks, but it's starting to take a toll on their families. You know, people who've been working 55 hours a week and more, some cases, keeping these essential businesses open through the pandemic. And for them, it's important that their employers hire new people so that they don't have to work so much. And so getting more people back into the workforce, using strategies, employers need to use strategies. This is a worker friendly time to go back if you're out of work right now, because employers are having to be ultra flexible, paying higher wages, providing more benefits because of the need to hire more people. So it's a good time where employers are having to really be responsive to their workforce needs, and that is to the benefit of the people of Ohio.
All right, I want to pivot a little bit and get your opinion on some things happening at the State House right now, especially House Bill 294, which covers a broad range of election topics, implementing automated voter registration, allowing online requests for absentee ballots, but it also removes the final day of early voting and limits drop boxes. I wanted to make sure I got that right, so I read it. As a former Secretary of State and as a former lawmaker, do you have any thoughts you want to share on this? Are you in favor or opposed to this bill?
Well, I'll just take a couple of provisions that I know I have a little history with.
Yeah.
The issue of online application, or being able to email your application, request an absentee ballot online, was something that I wanted to do for a long time. As mail becomes more complicated and slow, allowing people to ask for their absentee ballot online, I think, is a really good provision in that bill. That's important. I know that both Democrats and Republicans who run elections have been asking for years to not have to do in-person voting at the Board of Elections the day prior to Election Day, so that they can get ready to send all those machines and train people and fill positions that they need at the last minute for all of those polling locations. So I know that while that sounds like, well, why would you remove that? It's really because the local elections officials need time to prepare. I know that some people don't like that, but I know the history of that particular provision. And then on the drop boxes, the one thing, whether you're gonna have drop boxes, you need to make sure that those drop boxes are secure, because you don't want a drop box just sitting out there with thousands of ballots in it, unsecured, without anybody monitoring it, and allow somebody to tamper with it, that could maybe put something in the drop box that would destroy all those ballots. So there's some complicated issues around that. I don't think that this is as controversial of an election bill as many. It doesn't do a lot, but it does do some good things that I think that people, if they look into them, will find that they make a little more sense than they might first otherwise recognize.
Okay, one more question, and I want to ask you about it because you have tweeted about it. I've seen, well, you retweeted former GOP Ohio Chair Jane Timken about House Bill 322, which would prohibit critical race theory from being taught in Ohio's K through 12 schools. What are your thoughts on that? And then I also want to ask you about the Senate race.
Well, on the issue of critical race theory, everybody has a different definition of what that means. Yeah. And as I understand the explanation that is most common about critical race theory, I think it's not a good thing to be taught in Ohio schools. It doesn't mean that we shouldn't have debate and discussion about the difficult history of race. That's a good thing. Helping people understand the history of slavery, the founding of our nation, the fight for civil rights, from everything from minorities to women, and voting rights and the like. That's a great discussion to have. And we should help people be exposed to those issues. But the concept of critical race theory is very controversial and unproven parts of history. And I don't think that it's a good thing for our public schools to be engaged in developing curriculum around, although I have no problem with having the issue of discussing race and the issues surrounding that.
All right, and now about the Senate race, do you plan on endorsing anybody in the Republican Party before the primary?
I have no intention to do that. Or Governor DeWine and I are running for reelection ourselves. At some point in time, we'll make that official, but we'll focus on our race right now. We're just focusing on finishing up the pandemic, getting the economy roaring again, which it's beginning to, and we'll focus on that. And I look forward to supporting the winner of the Republican primary.
Okay, Lieutenant Governor John Husted, anything else that you would like to add that we haven't touched on?
No, great to join you today. Please encourage people to enroll in the programs we have. You can, for job training, Tech Cred is available. IMAP, just go to IMAP Ohio, and anyone out there can get access to free job training credentials. Great resources in Ohio. Help you get one of those high-paying jobs that are being created, improve your life and the quality of life for your family.
All right, Lieutenant Governor, thank you so much for being with me today. I really appreciate it. Guys, you can watch this full interview. I will clip it and post it on NBC4i.com. It should be there shortly, and then we will have some more of it on NBC4 midday. That starts at 11 a.m. See you later.